Well, plenty to unpack on this Trump-Xi summit. And for more insights, let's bring in Jean-Pierre Cabestan, an emeritus professor of political science, the Department of Government and International Studies at Hong Kong Baptist University. Well, thanks, Professor, for joining us this evening. So, quite a packed day for both presidents, their administrations. In a nutshell, we heard what President Trump just did, which is extending an invitation to the White House to President Xi and his wife on 24th of September. We also heard from Sihui, there have been some talk about maybe some oil and some orders to do with aviation, for instance. So, Professor, tell us in a nutshell, what are some of the biggest takeaways you've gleaned from today's summit?
I think, first of all, it's the truce between Beijing and Washington, D.C. is going on. Truce which was initiated in Busan last year, October last year. And there's a willingness on both sides to stabilize the relationship very much and to focus on trade and economic issues. As you know, Trump would like to see American firms having a better access to the Chinese market. China, on its part, would like to get better access to American top technologies. And what we can see as a concrete result for the time being, either there will be some deal on a number of issues and number of items like the aviation, Boeing planes, I guess, soya beans, maybe beef meat, and also the establishment of a board of trade. Now, on Taiwan, I haven't seen any result yet. I think that Xi Jinping made a very important point in indicating if they can't agree on Taiwan, there are risks of crisis and even war between the two superpowers. I think it's a very strong starting point to the negotiation. Whether they will agree on something new, it remains to be seen, because on the US side, there's a lot of pressure not to give in to Chinese demand on arms sales to Taiwan, on the Beijing's request for the US to oppose Taiwan independence. So I'm not expecting too much new development on the Taiwan issue.
Yeah, just picking up on that Taiwan issue, of course, it remains the most sensitive red line in the relationship between both countries. But from what we know, it's been reported that Taiwan was not mentioned in the White House readout of the Xi-Trump meeting. So what does that say, though? I mean, does that tell us there's been a shift in balance?
Well, we haven't reached the end of the visit, so I'm sure they're going to talk about Taiwan, because there was a Xinhua report indicating that Xi Jinping made a very important point regarding the risk of crisis and war between the US and China if they can't agree on Taiwan. So I think for China, it's important to talk about Taiwan, and there's a willingness on the American side. Trump has indicated that to talk about various issues, including ourselves to Taiwan, whether the US will make some concessions on that, like in promising to reduce arms sales to Taiwan, or even to negotiate to Taiwan. I think remains to be seen. I don't see that very likely, actually.
And there's also been a lot of talk about this new positioning, which is, they're pitching it as it's going to be led by cooperation and measured competition with manageable differences. So, Professor, in terms of how does that translate, though, to concrete actions? I mean, what does that mean in practice?
Can you repeat your question? I didn't get it. Sorry.
Throughout their message, the messaging as such of this new positioning, you know how President Xi said that this could be led by cooperation, competition can be measured, differences can be managed. So how does that, though, translate into action?
I think there is a need on both sides to cooperate, at least on the where it's possible to cooperate. There are two major economies, two major powers. And they don't want to see the relationship derailing and leading to more uncertainties and more instability. So Now, in concrete measure, I think there will be more trade, but also more negotiation on political issues all the way from Taiwan, but also Iran, the situation in the Middle East, and also in the Indo-Pacific region as a whole, including the U.S. relation with Japan, Korea, and other allies in the region. I mean, there are many issues on which they can talk. Whether they're going to agree on every issue, of course, it's far from being the case, I think. So they have to agree to disagree on many issue, and that's the way forward, I think. But to keep the channel of communication open and to intensify or densify those channels of communication in order to make sure that the relationship will remain stable.
Right, appreciate your time and thoughts unpacking the Trump-Xi summit for us. Jean-Pierre Cabestan, an emeritus professor of political science, the Department of Government and International Studies at Hong Kong Baptist University.